Hello, my name is Shelby Simpkins, and I work with our product team here at Thrive365. Today, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Thrive365 product. Like Kirk said, you can register online at thrive365.com. You'll enter some basic personal information like height, weight, activity level, and a few other factors to calculate your personalized Thrive 365 meal score, which is based on your daily nutritional needs. Then, after you've registered, you can go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and download the Thrive 365 app. And that's what you're looking at right now. You can see at the top of the screen is the Thrive 365 meal quadrant. You can see that my personalized Thrive 365 score is a 9, which means that I need to eat to a 9 at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then half of my score for a snack, so a 4. When you eat to your Thrive 365 score, the quadrant will turn green. When you eat slightly below your score, it'll turn yellow. And when you eat significantly under your score or you eat above your score, the quadrant will turn red. Now, Thrive 365 is really unique. You may think of other food logging apps, but what really sets us apart is that patented food scoring algorithm to score any food. Our score is not about calories, amount of sugar, amount of fat. It's actually about the impact on your blood glucose levels. So what that means is the score of a food directly correlates to how it will affect your blood glucose levels. And eating to your meal score at each meal will help stabilize your blood glucose levels throughout the day. There are other programs that score food where it may be a daily total that you're trying to reach. But those programs aren't the best for people living with type 2 and prediabetes, because those programs would allow you to maybe eat nothing for breakfast and then eat a huge lunch, which could cause you to dip and spike and have those diabetic events, and ultimately to raise your A1C. But with Thrive 365, when you eat to your Thrive 365 score at each meal, it'll help stabilize your blood glucose levels, give you more energy, and ultimately lower your A1C. So I'll show you how to do that here in just a second. You can see underneath the Thrive 365 quadrant the past 5 days meal history, so a little snapshot of your week. And below that, you can see a section called Thrive on the Go, which is just some popular chain restaurants to give people an idea of foods that they can eat while they're out and about, on the go, and on the run. So to score your food and log your meal, there are 3 ways to score food items. And if you click on the green score button at the bottom of the screen, you can see those 3 ways. 1 is to scan a barcode, 2 is to search by name, and 3 is to search for a restaurant menu. We have scored almost 1 million food items in over 800 chain restaurants. So your local mom and pop shop may not necessarily be there, but large chain restaurants will be. So let's go ahead and log a meal. For lunch today, I'm actually going to go to the Subway right down the road. So I'll click on the green score button and click search restaurants. And here you can see many restaurants that you're probably familiar with. So I'll go ahead and search for Subway. When I click on Subway, I'll be able to see the Subway menu. From here, I can search for a 6-inch turkey breast and see that scores a 6. My score is a 9, so that fits within my meal score. So I'll click the Add button on the right-hand side and then click the green Add to Meal button and pick my lunch. Now, a lot of people, if you're thinking about, in the context of calories or amount of sugar you're supposed to eat, you may think, oh, okay, great, you're underneath your score. But when you're thinking about those blood glucose levels, we actually need you to eat to your score to really keep yourself in those healthy ranges. So a 6 out of 9 is actually going to show red. So I'll click on the button that says Add Food, and I can search for other food items. So if a 6 inch isn't enough food for me, I can search for, the combo deal and do a bag of chips and a drink. So I'll search for Lay's potato chips. And I see that those score 3, which is great. A 6 for my sandwich, a 3 for my potato chips. That meets my score of a 9. But then I may think that I can't have a drink. But that's not necessarily true. If I look up something like a Diet Coke actually scores a 0. So I can add that to my meal as well. And as I add items to my meal, you'll see them add up below in the cart. And from here, you can tap on the item, adjust the serving size, favorite it, or delete it out of your cart. When I click on the green pencil, I can adjust the serving size. So, I may think, oh, well, I typically eat 2 bags of chips. So I can change that to 2, click update, and the score will automatically update. And serving size is such an important aspect of scoring your food, because the score of 1 chocolate brownie versus the score of 7 chocolate brownies is definitely going to make a difference. So that, updating the serving size is really key. So I may say, okay, well, 2 bags would push me over my meal score, so I'll just have 1 bag, and that scores a 3. So I'll click add to meal and add those food items to my lunch. So before, when I received this diagnosis of type 2 or prediabetes, I may have been filled with a lot of fear that I don't know what I can eat, I don't know where I can eat, I don't know what's in my food, I'm not sure how to calculate carbs or sugar or calories. There's just a lot of unknowns. But with Thrive365, I can be confident in my food choices, that I'm making choices that are best for my personal nutrition. So before, I may have walked into Subway, or I may have not walked into Subway at all because I was too afraid to eat out. Or I may have walked into Subway and thought, oh, well, I can have 2 footlongs and that's fine. But now with Thrive365, I can confidently go to Subway knowing it's a place that I can eat. And I can make healthier nutritional choices that are best for my diet and my body. So now I know that I can go in and have a 6-inch turkey breast combo meal and still eat to my score, which is pretty incredible. So if this is a meal that I eat really frequently, I enjoy, it fits to my score, makes me feel good, I can go ahead and save this meal for future logging. I can click on the button that says Save as Custom Meal, and when I do, I can name that meal. So I'll say Subway turkey breast and click Save. So now, that may have taken me a few minutes to log that meal depending upon how many different menu items I looked at, how many different searches I made. But next time when I decide I want to log this meal, all I have to do is click on the bottom section that says My Foods. And when I click on My Foods, I'll see any food item I've ever logged and any custom meal I've ever created. So all I have to do is search for that Subway turkey breast and it'll pop up in My Foods. I can see what's in the meal and I can easily add it to a meal. So it takes less than 30 seconds. And as you build out your My Foods, which is kind of your digital pantry, then it's so fast and easy to log foods. So that's the scenario if you're eating out. And, before, people with this diagnosis may have chosen to not eat out and stopped living their lives. But now you can say yes to your friend who asks you to go out for drinks after work. You can say yes to the birthday dinner that someone's hosting. And so with Thrive365, you can have that freedom to choose and to look at menus before you go, to look at menus while you're there in the moment. You don't have to be afraid of being unable to eat somewhere where you don't cook the food yourself. Another really common scenario that you run into with food is when you're shopping at the grocery store. So to put yourself in the shoes of someone living with type 2 and prediabetes that's trying to do all of these, complex calculations themselves, when they go to the grocery store and are trying to pick out a new product, it can be extremely overwhelming. As someone not living with type 2 or prediabetes, I know I get overwhelmed trying to find a new product just because there's so many different ones to choose from. Let's take just buying a new cereal, for example. When I go down the cereal aisle, there are, 20, 30 different cereals to pick from. I'm just looking for one. So with without Thrive 365, someone would go down the cereal aisle, let's say pick 3 different ones that look good, look at the nutrition facts panels and try to compare them. But, they're not even the same serving size a lot of the time. So one may be 3/4 cup, another one cup, another one a cup and a half. And ultimately, trying to compare between those is going to require a lot of time, a lot of math, and complex calculations, which most people are not going to take the time to do. They'll get frustrated, overwhelmed, the kids in the basket crying, they're late trying to get home. It just isn't a good scenario. So people will give up and go back to the same thing that they've always done and just feel hopeless. But with Thrive 365 as their pocket companion, they can pull out our app, click on the score button, and click scan a barcode. So when you click on scan a barcode, the camera will come up and you'll be able to quickly scan a barcode. And then you'll be able to see the exact item you're looking for. So I had some, Quaker oats here, and that scores a 3. So if, that was my cereal per se, and that was the cereal that I decided on, I may not necessarily be eating that item in the moment and wanting to log it to a meal, but I may be purchasing it and knowing that I'm going to eat it later, want to save it into my foods. So I can click on the add button and then click on the blue add to my foods button at the bottom of the screen. And that food will be in my foods later on whenever I'm ready to log it. So what before may have been overwhelming and complex and can lead to hopelessness, now I'm educated, I'm informed, and I'm confident in my choices that if I want to choose the cereal that scores a 4 or an 8 or a 12 based on my nutritional needs and my eating habits. So now I've shown you all the different ways that you can score a food item through search, through scan, and restaurants. One of the last things I'll show you, and one of my favorite screens actually, is the meal history screen. And this screen can show you your entire month in one glance. I think this is a really helpful screen because it shows the user where they're struggling, where they have room to grow, and where they're really thriving. You may see that at every lunch, you eat to red. So what are you doing at lunch that you could change to improve? You may realize that every weekend you're not logging. So what are you eating on the weekends that you don't want to see the score of? And you may see that when you start, you're mostly in the red because you're not used to eating to your score. But as you build out custom meals, as you score the foods that you eat, you can start making those necessary changes for your health to feel better, to have more energy, and start eating to green. And that can be really encouraging to see as you improve and as you start to see more greens throughout your day. One of the last things I'll say is that with Thrive 365, I do think it's very empowering and encouraging and hopeful to the user. As you can see, there are 4 different meal quadrants. I like to say that each meal is a new opportunity for success. With a lot of other programs, if you have one bad meal or one bad day, it could set you behind for quite some time. One bad meal leads to one bad day can lead to one bad week, and people easily get discouraged when they don't see results. But with Thrive 365, because it's that meal by meal nutrition, you have a new opportunity at every single meal to succeed. Even though you may eat over at breakfast, you can eat to green at lunch. And even though you may struggle at dinner, maybe you ate to green at your snack that day. Because the reality is we're all going to eat to red. That's part of life. You're going to go out and grab donuts on that Saturday morning. You're going to go to the celebratory birthday dinner or the cookout, and you're going to be in red. But that's okay. As long as you're making those changes to improve your health and to strive to eat to green at each meal, you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. You'll probably lose some weight, even though we're not a weight loss app. And ultimately, you're going to be thriving, keeping your blood glucose levels in those healthier ranges, and ultimately lowering your A1C. I hope that you find Thrive 365 as encouraging and hopeful as I do. Thank you so much for your time.